and welcome back to another video from HSTV. And in today's video, as you can see, we are actually joined with a very special guest.
Hi guys, I am Ayesha and I am doing medicine with Heen at University of Edinburgh.
So me and Ayesha are friends at university, and I thought today for our Q&A video, rather than me just answer all the questions, I thought it would be good to get like two perspectives on the questions you guys have asked. So yeah, I put up an Instagram story and you guys responded to there, so thank you so much for doing that. I guess we will crack on with the questions, and if you have like other questions or anything you want to say to me, then you can leave it in the comments as well. Okay, so there was a few questions about our subjects at high school. So both Ayesha and I, we are Scottish students, so we didn't do GCSEs or A-levels. We did National 5s, Highers and Advanced Highers. So yeah, Ayesha, what subjects did you take?
Okay, so for National 5, I had physics, chemistry, biology, maths, English, Italian as one language, and then I did business management and PE. And I got 6 A's and 2 B's for that. Then I went on to Highers. I did physics, chemistry, biology, English, maths. I got 4 A's and a B, and then I got advanced. I did advanced science, chemistry, biology, and maths, and I got 2 A's and a B.
Yeah, so actually my subjects are quite similar to yours. So I think like for both of us, we wanted to do medicine.
Yeah.
So like we sort of went for the sciencey subjects. So at Nat 5, I did English, maths, German. They were like 3 core subjects, and then I did biology, physics, chemistry, geography and computer science. That's what I did there. And then for Highers, I did like the 3 sciences and then English and maths.
Yeah.
And then advanced higher, I did maths, biology, chemistry.
Yeah.
So, and like I was quite lucky that I got like A's throughout, but you can see you don't need to be a straight A student to get into medicine. Like that's although it's like really competitive, as long as you're meeting the entry requirements, like you should be fine.
Yeah, because I remember when I went to a workshop about getting into med school, the guy who's a doctor consultant, you know, Mr. Raza, yeah, he said that 95% of the people who apply to University of Edinburgh has straight A's. Yeah. So, you know, as long as you meet the entry requirement, it's other stuff that they're looking for more rather than, you know, getting straight
Especially
A's.
Nowadays, because before Edinburgh University never had interviews.
Yeah.
So you were just like numbers, like UCAT and grades, but now they do want to see who you are as a person as well, so grades don't matter as much. But do check entry requirements online on their website, because they update them every year. And make sure that you are qualifying there. Okay, do you want to start off the next question?
Yeah, so the next question that we're going to answer is about extracurricular activities. I personally did netball and badminton in high school, but I was part of the group of society or club, you call them clubs in school. But the main thing about my extracurricular activities was that when I was in Pakistan, because I did some of my schooling in Pakistan, I played netball competitively and I competed on the national level.
Aisha's a try-hard when it comes to netball.
Yeah. But yeah, it was either medicine or netball, you know. But anyway, so yeah, and I had I got a silver medal as well. So when I wrote that in my personal statement, it was a big thing. So if you've got any of those kind of achievements in either like you play an instrument and you've competed in that, you know, you've done an art competition or
Did you
anything.
play an instrument?
I was learning to play guitar at that time, so I was teaching myself.
Yeah, because like a lot of medics who apply, they're like grade 8 piano and stuff. Like you don't have to be like achieving big things in your extracurriculars. Like great if you're getting silver medals, but if you don't, like it's still, you know, you still gain skills and you still do lots of team working and all the stuff you can reflect on in your personal statement and interviews. But yeah, for me, I did badminton as my like sport. So I was like team captain of the badminton team, even though like I lost all my matches, so this doesn't reflect very good high sleep. But so I did badminton, and then I really liked Model United Nations. So for those of you who might not be so familiar with that, it's kind of like debating, but you like be a country and then you like debate from the point of view of that country. So it was like quite cool, I think, for like public speaking as well. So I did that, and then for like instrument, I like I sort of like taught myself a bit like how to play piano and like guitar and stuff, but I never did like exams on them, so you don't have to be like tip top, you know.
Yeah. If you got an achievement to show for any of the like hobbies you have, like you've you know, then use that, because that is a big advantage. If you don't, then that's okay too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another point about the extracurricular activities was that if you have clubs like zoology club or science club, especially in your last year of high school, I know that they let you be leaders of that. So if you have that as well, it reflects really good on your personal statement.
Actually, that's a really good point. I remember at high school we formed like a medical society. So like all the people who wanted to apply to medicine, dentistry, and veterinary, we came together and we just formed like a little society. So you can be part of that as well and write that down. And then other things like being a prefect, or I don't know if you can be like house captain or something like that. Like these are leadership roles that you can also write about. So something kind of linked to extracurriculars, and it's a bit of a requirement nowadays if you're applying to medicine, is work experience and volunteering. So I thought we'd chat a bit about kind of what we did. So Ayesha, do the honors.
I have a list of things I did. I had a very active lifestyle in high school. I don't know where that went, but I volunteered for at least 6 months at Royal Infirmary because I lived in Edinburgh, and I used to just go to a ward with elderly patients and just walk around and talk, you know, make a relationship with the nurses, and I just did that I went there almost every Friday for 5-6 months. Then obviously I had a part-time job, so that kind of linked very well into me being committed to something and having that kind of skill set and all that. Then I also did Medic Insight. So Medic Insight, I think he did it as well.
Yeah, I did it.
That
was with the university. So sometimes like the universities you're applying to, they help students like who are trying to get into medicine. So like research that. But
No, it's okay. So what Medic Insight was about was basically it was led by medical students, and they would have lectures on interview skills, UCAT, personal statement, all that, and then they would also have simulated interviews as well, and
like mock interviews.
But the best part was that they had arranged work experience for you in 3 different settings. So in GP setting, then in a specialty, like I went to endoscopy department in Royal Infirmary, and then I had a surgical placement as well at St. John's. So you know, those kind of 3 areas that you can talk about in your personal statement, just to show that you really know what you're getting yourself into. So that was good. Then I also did a research placement for summer. It's called Nuffield Research Placement. And what that is about is basically you apply and you get shortlisted by supervisors, and you just go there for 6 weeks in summer, and you get paid for it as well, and you just take part in a research project. And it's really good because especially in University of Edinburgh, they focus a lot on research. So if you can show that skill, if you can show them that you know what research is, you're confident in it, and you're really interested in it, that would kind of answer the question that they would have as to why Edinburgh, you know.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think a lot of students these days are doing like a lot of things, so get involved like wherever you can. Don't turn down opportunities if you can. So like for me, I volunteered at a care home for like 3 years. Like you don't have to do 3 years, but like as long as you can show like a commitment, it's fine. Like 6 months is like really good as well. So or even if you can do like a few weeks over the summer, like that's still showing commitment. So I did care home. Like it's always good to, if you're finding work experience, try and work with, I was always taught at school, the 3 Ds. So it's like diseased, disadvantaged, or disabled. And generally it's because these 3 types of people are different to you, and it's all about going out your comfort zone and chatting to people from different backgrounds, so that you get used to like good communication skills, and empathy as well. Like you can put yourself in their shoes and feel how they are. So I did like care home, which is like elderly. Then over one summer, I volunteered in something called the Thistle Foundation. So this was like an arts and craft group for people who are going through like mental illnesses, and that was really nice, like just chatting to them. And this was just over a summer. So any places like that, if you can volunteer, go for it. In terms of work experience, so I did work experience in the UK. So I did like hospital placements. I did same as what Ayesha did as well, Medic Insight. Just going through like different specialties. Like I did like something in psychiatry. That was quite cool. And then also the same as like endoscopy thing as well. So like this was like all new to me, and it was pretty cool, and it was just like shadowing doctors, and you can reflect a lot on that when it comes to your personal statement and interviews. But another thing which I think a lot of people like don't get the opportunity to do is I did work experience internationally. So in Pakistan, I went because I'm from Pakistan, right? So it wasn't that hard for me to organize necessarily, but it was really cool to compare the healthcare system there and the healthcare system here. So if you have an opportunity, please avail it because it looks really good.
Yeah, I think the final point that we're both trying to make is that we both have completely different set of work experiences. You know, there is some like
similarities,
but mostly it's very different. But we still both got in, so you know, you don't have to like follow in our footsteps.
Like a set rule,
if you've got different kind of work experiences than us, don't feel like bad about it. Don't feel like you've got any less chance, because you're a unique individual, and that's what they're wanting to see, your uniqueness, and you're gonna be bringing unique skill set. That's why they get students from all over the world just to kind of have that difference and diversity in work experiences and skills.
I think a good place to start as well is your own school. So I know like within my own school, when I got to S6, they had like S6 reading buddies, and I knew that I hadn't really worked with children that much. So then I was just like working with P5s with like helping them read and stuff, and like that is an experience. Also like teaching experiences. I remember there was a thing in school as well called like mentors and violence prevention. It was just like an opportunity that came up, and you can like teach to the S2s about, you know, violence prevention, things like that. So wherever you can get involved, go for it. But it can be hard. I know when I was trying to organize my care home volunteering, I phoned up so many places because no one was taking me, basically. So stick at it though, persevere, and get yourself out there. Alright, so the next thing that we want to talk about is a bit on interviews. There's a couple questions here. So the first one is if anyone applies to medicine in Edinburgh, will they have an interview regardless?
No.
Will they? You're not that lucky.
They won't. I know some, like, you do need to have an interview for medicine, but it does depend on the university itself. I know someone who wanted to do computing science at St Andrews University, and he had a very casual, informal interview because he wasn't doing computing science in high school, and he still applied for it. So just kind of like, you know, it really depends on your own specific situation, I would say.
Yeah, it does. And like, you know, to get an interview for most medical schools in the UK anyway, you get ranked on your grades and your UCAT first. So unfortunately, and your personal statement, So unfortunately, you kind of need to work to get an interview. I know like once you get an interview, there's a higher chance of you getting in because you've sort of passed that stage, but it still doesn't guarantee you a spot, unfortunately, because it's just very competitive. And the other interview-related question was, how would interviews work with admissions officers if you're an international student? So obviously, me and Ayesha, we're not international students, so we can't give a definitive answer on that. But we know like some of our like class fellows, like they had online interviews. Do you know anything else about that?
You can have online interviews, or if you can, you know, if you're well off enough, you can fly. They can allow, you know, you can organize an in-person interview with them. But I think they would be pretty accommodating in terms of organizing an online interview, just so that you don't have to make a whole trip from across the world.
And there's actually quite a few like international students in our year. So I wouldn't worry like too much about like feeling left out and stuff, because I think it's quite diverse. So the next area that we want to target is to do with accommodation and actually living in Edinburgh. So the first question is, can we retain a permanent residence in the university apartments or dorm at Edinburgh?
Yeah, this is a very complex question because there's no one answer to this. What you need to understand is that university has its own dorms, and then there's other student accommodations that are not by the university, but they just, you know, like you've got Unite student accommodation where students live, but it's a different contractor, I would say. Then you have also private landlords offering students accommodation. Like I live in a private accommodation where there's one landlord, and I just live with other students. And then you also have university offering you private rooms or apartments if you can have like a group before, you can live in a university accommodation, but not in university halls. So there's different prices for that. The most expensive would be living in university dorms, because most of them are catered, you get breakfast and all of that included in it. So they're very expensive, and I barely know anyone who lives in that. Usually people who are in their first year go for that choice because it's very secured and everything, supported by the university itself. But I would suggest that most people do move out from it in your first year. So, from the beginning, just try to find like a private accommodation, because it's a lot cheaper. And obviously it depends on where you find it, because the price will vary according to that as well. And don't leave it till the end, because if you leave it till the end, you would be left out with only the very high rent options.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm quite a bad person to ask this question, because I'm staying at home. So if you can stay at home, that's the cheapest option.
Yeah.
But I know for a lot of people, you have to move out. And this is Edinburgh, like this is a capital city, so it's not. Yes. So the question that I was referring to is, someone said my son has an offer, but he's worried he can't afford to live in Edinburgh. So. Yeah, Edinburgh is not a cheap city, unfortunately. In fact, if you go to cities just next to Edinburgh, they're a lot cheaper. Places like Dundee or Glasgow or Aberdeen. But because Edinburgh is quite like a touristy city, and it's a capital city, it can be expensive. In terms of like actual rent, do you have like an estimation? I think like the average rent here in Edinburgh is like 500-600.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, but I would definitely say that I know people who found apartments for a lot cheaper. Like I know someone who lived in the very main area, St. Patrick's Square, and she had an apartment for £420 a month, which is very cheap. But again, like I said, it's kind of like, it's more to do with luck. The sooner you start looking for it, the better. You would have more options and everything, because everyone comes in for summer. So if I want to move out from my current accommodation, I would start looking now, and that's the only time, like that's the only way I would guarantee myself a good option.
Yeah, also I think if you like share with like roommates and stuff, you can like split the rent, bills and stuff like that, so it might be a little bit cheaper. I don't know. I think that's all in this question.
That's something that usually people do in their second and third year, because in first year you really don't know that many people if you're coming from somewhere else. Yeah. So you spend your first year making friends, and then you make plans with your friends and to live as roommates for the rest of the year. I
think also like if you're staying in accommodation like long term for like your whole degree, you stay in one place, you can form like a good relationship with the landlord as well, and you can prevent like rent prices going up. I don't know if that's that's obviously difficult, but it's possible.
Yeah.
So if you've got an offer, like congratulations to your son who has that offer. But I can imagine it can be difficult moving out to a new city, especially one as busy as Edinburgh.
Yeah. And also it depends on what university in Edinburgh he's got an offer from, because we've got Napier, we've got Watt,
I think this person is probably referring to medicine.
Is he? Oh, right.
Probably.
Well, yeah, I think you don't really have to live in the centre to do medicine.
Yeah.
Like, it is very varied, and it is very much to do with luck. So if you've got...
And actually, this is a really good point, because we don't have, like, although we have one teaching hospital, it's not just like one campus. So there's like 2 hospitals like in Edinburgh, and then you can be based out with Edinburgh as well, a little bit like in Fife or the Borders and places like that. So it doesn't really matter where you get your accommodation.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, for the first year, I would say if he wants to find a cheaper option in Edinburgh, just to kind of get a feel of the city, and if he wants to do a part-time job as well, it's okay if he kind of lives a bit further away from the university itself, because those would be cheaper definitely, and then he can always come back, find, when he is used to the city, he can find better locations. So yeah.
Right guys, so I know that was a lot of information on kind of applying to medicine, but I thought we'd answer a few questions about what it's like studying medicine at Edinburgh. So we'll address some of those questions. The first one is, how long does it take to graduate?
6 years in Edinburgh University.
That's compulsory, so that includes the intercalation. So we're both doing our intercalation year right now. At other universities, it's optional. So 5 or 6 years, depending on where you go really, but 6 years here.
Yeah.
Another question is, what do you do in 4th year?
That's the start of our clinical year, so we are very excited for our fourth year. We are at the very end of third year, so in fourth year we get even if this is open for the general public, so if you go and you search MBCHB 2023 timetable, University of Edinburgh, you would get a timetable of fourth year, fifth year, sixth year, and it says that you've got this 1 week of just induction, then there's 1 week of teaching, learning skills, and then this 10-week block of placement. So it would be something like that. It would be very different from what we're used to.
Yeah, I know like Edinburgh, they sort of do like pre-clinical and then clinical. So our like past 2 years were very like lecture based, and we didn't have much patient contact. So yes, we are very excited to finally get some hands-on stuff going in fourth year. So yeah, like you need to stay tuned for the vlogs, Another question is about anatomy at Edinburgh. So what's the assessment method? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, anatomy spot test. We had, our first year was in COVID, so our anatomy exam didn't take place. It was kind of integrated with our knowledge exam. In second year we had an anatomy spot test, and what that is basically, you have 45 students in a room, and you've got 45 questions to answer, or 40 questions, how many
stations.
And you've got 40 specimens, or there might not be a specimen, but you would have a specific place in the room, and you just move around that room, and you have 1 minute to answer each question, and then you have 1 minute at the end to review all of your answers. So that is what the anatomy spot test is basically.
Yeah, and it's all multiple choice as well. There's a few like short answer ones, but it's only like if there's like a label pointing somewhere, you just type the name of the thing. But it sounds like more scary and pressured than it actually is. I know it's like, you only have 1 minute to answer and then you have to move around. Like, it's not that bad when you do it, and it wasn't like very, very difficult either. I think they want you to do well, so I wouldn't worry too much, but obviously revise. Like, what did you do to revise?
I had one of the best advices from a friend who's not even doing medicine. She's doing law in a different country, but she has a lot of in her family doing medicine and stuff. Her dad's a medical professor.
Shout out to this friend.
She's not gonna be on this. No, she has a life. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, so her advice was to revisit your notes. So what I used to do to revise anatomy, and anatomy has always been my strength, is I would always revise it again and again and again. So I had a schedule made up for my vacations where I had revised all of my anatomy at least 4 times before the actual exam. And that's only because we as medical students, or people who are getting into medicine, we have a specific work ethic that allows us to do such a hard degree. So we do have that kind of memory and that kind of focus and everything, but we are human beings and we will forget stuff. So if you just revisit it again and again,
like active recall is the main thing. Like, don't just sit there reading your notes. Like, that's probably fine for like the first day that you do the lecture, but then after that, like, make flashcards or just keep revisiting it. Okay, so next up we actually have quite an interesting question, but like still thank you to whoever sent us in. So someone said that they got an offer for Edinburgh and they're considering getting a tattoo soon, and this person wanted to ask our opinion on tattoos for medical students, and like, is that allowed at university? There's nothing to stop you from getting a tattoo. Like, you just like medical students, law students, physics students, you're all students. Like, you're allowed to get a tattoo, right? But I think like as you go on to be a doctor, you don't want something that's offensive, or something that could upset anyone, or be unprofessional. I think that's the main thing. I personally haven't seen any doctors with like tattoo sleeves. Or like, this is my thing, but like, don't get something like on your neck, that's something that could upset a patient. So if you can, get it in like a place that's not that visible, but if you are gonna get it in a place that's visible, just don't make it offensive.
I think there's no rules against it, but there's a stereotype associated with certain things like tattoos, piercings, dyed hair. It's still there. It shouldn't be, but it's still there. So if you're someone who wants to avoid these kind of things, then obviously don't get one. But if you're someone who's relaxed about it and would be okay with experiencing these kind of stereotypes, then go for it. one thing that we kind of both read online was that obviously you have to have your lower part of your limb uncovered for hygiene reasons. So if you do have a tattoo there, you'd have to cover it up. It's just these kind of things that you would have to take into practice just because you have a tattoo. It's the same with, you know, working in a food place and having a beard where you have to cover your beard. So it's just kind of those extra measures that you would have to take, but I don't think any of them are
too difficult. I think it's just a personal decision, but by all means go and get a tattoo if that's what you want to do.
It's quite exciting.
So the last question that we are going to take was actually a comment on the day in the life vlog that I posted. So in that vlog I had a lack of fitness that I showed and you know, someone picked up on that and they were like, so how do you actually keep fit at medical school? And it is actually a really important point, and it was just a coincidence that there was no fitness in that particular vlog. But I think more than me, Ayesha's like more of a fit person, okay? So I'm just gonna tell you about this.
I mean, fitness, I think it really depends on what your type of fitness is. I have been pretty fit this year and the year, not last year as much, because I think COVID really did have an impact on our university lifestyle. But fitness, if you are into fitness, you would meet so many people around you who would have similar interests. Like I know so many people who have gym buddies, like they go to the gym together, they join clubs together. I have joined 2 clubs this year as well, not just with my friends but with my kids as well. So there's like literally they're very easy to do because they are themselves run by medical students. I'm not sure if your kids got you know, if your kids are wanting to do medicine or other degrees, but even then they are very relaxed, they're very approachable, the clubs are very easy to get into, very nice way to socialize and to make contacts, to get to know people, and it's really easy to stay fit in a country like in a city like Edinburgh because like it's really like
one thing, you can cycle. Like they have like really good cycle lanes pretty much everywhere now. So I know the drivers find the cycle lanes annoying, but if you want to cycle, you can cycle like all over Edinburgh. Even though Edinburgh is like really hilly, so it's like a full workout. But you can. There's also like lots of walking and running paths. We have like beaches like everywhere because we're on the coast. So there's always that. You can, you know, your fitness might be just a walk or a run or a cycle. You don't have to be part of like societies and things. But if you do want to be part of societies, there's like medic specific ones. And my phone's going off, okay. There's like medic specific societies, but there's also like the main university more competitive ones. So if your fitness is like competitive rugby, there's opportunities for that. But if you just want to have like fun with the medics, then you can also do that.
There's like a gym at every corner in Edinburgh. Edinburgh, people in Edinburgh, especially students, they focus on fitness a lot. So, you know,
I don't.
I'm
the exception.
I think I was guilt tripped into focusing on fitness this year by my friends because they're so fit and everything. So even if you're not like initially not a fit person or someone who doesn't focus on fitness, when you come to university, you do kind of want to try these things out. So, you know, there's nothing, absolutely nothing to stop you.
Exactly. And like, you know, saying that, yes, I don't do exercise every day of the week, but I have made an effort, okay? So I started kickboxing at my local mosque, right? So you don't even have to be with the university societies. There's like lots of other hubs, clubs, places everywhere that you can join, like wherever you want to go. So lots of opportunities, and yes, stay fit.
Stay fit.
Right guys, that is gonna be the end of this video. Do you have any final words of wisdom, Ayesha?
Any final words of wisdom? Well, just to say that it's okay to be stressed about, you know,
everything.
Yeah.
Like getting into medicine, when you're studying medicine, like
or just getting into university regardless of the degree. Your first year would probably be the worst year. You're the most vulnerable in your first year. But just know that not every year is like that. You know, even in high school, if you've not got your offers, that's a stressful time in itself. Just keep going, you know. Like it's not the end. Nothing ever would happen to you that would be the end of the world. So
follow Ayesha, guys. But yeah, hopefully you have found this video useful, and follow the channel for more content just like this, and maybe you'll see more of Ayesha.
Maybe, that's a big maybe.
But yeah, thank you so much for watching.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.